This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I got mail. Do you remember Polly Pocket? I found this on eBay, and the reason I bought this one is this is the exact same one I had when I was a kid. I was obsessed with this thing, and I got the slightly insane idea to make one out of clay. This is going to involve making a jar, making a bunch of tiny little furniture things, and what I'm most scared of, making a hinge. Let's get into it. I was thinking about what sort of interior I want to put in here because I don't really want to follow the Polly Pocket interior exactly. I realized there's only one real solution, which is make a pottery studio on the inside. I think that'd be pretty cute. So I'm thinking it needs to be like this, a little bit wider than this, and then about this tall. We're gonna throw this whole jar in one piece. So the base is 9 centimeters wide. Maybe we'll make 10. 10 centimeters. Now the struggle is gonna be to make this a closed jar without it collapsing. And I hope I have enough clay. I'm okay with this shape. There's a little wobble if it spins, but it's fine like if it's not spinning. So in order to make a jar with just one thrown piece, the trick is to make a little indent in the side of it, which is going to end up being the flange. So I'm just gonna use a throwing gauge here. Ideally wood and the right width, I guess. So this is like 12 millimeters wide. Maybe like 10 millimeters would be better, but it's fine. I'm just gonna very gently push in around in the middle. And honestly, I haven't made too many of these, so I don't really know how deep to push in, but it needs to be fairly deep because then the other end needs to go over it. I don't wanna push it too much. Okay, I think that's fine. Something like that. Ta-da. Okay, that's pretty much all I can do for the day. I'm pretty happy with that. Tomorrow I'm going to turn it into a jar, and then should I like slice a small strip off and then put a slab on it so that it has a flat end that it can hinge on better, because I'm not really sure how I'm going to make it hinge this way. I think I'm gonna have to do that. So it's gonna get a lot shorter because this part that's pushed in, that's the flange, that's gonna sit inside of the lid. So it's gonna be like significantly shorter. I think that's the only way to do it. My original thought was to smash it, like to compress it on one side so it has a flat end, but that would make trimming the flange impossible. So I think I need to trim it first and then make a flat end. So see you tomorrow. Good morning. I'm very happy to continue with this project today because, to be honest, I had an extremely stressful morning. I'm in the process of applying for my German citizenship, which the hoops that they make you jump through. Germany's supposed to be one of these countries that's easy to immigrate to, but it's really not. There's so many myths about immigration and dual citizenship and all of that, you know, if you've never actually been through the process, you really have no freaking clue what you're talking about. There's a lot of xenophobia against immigrants, of course, not necessarily against me, but immigrants in general. And we have to prove ourselves over and over and over again, and to prove ourselves to bureaucrats that may or may not even want you to be here. Like, this was my experience today. Somehow, the people who get put in these roles may or may not like immigrants or may or may not have their own biases. Oh, it's stressful. And, you know, it gets me really down because I've been living in this country for more than 10 years now. The fact that I still don't feel welcome here, you know, I'm permanent resident. I pay taxes. I'm productive. I've hired people. I've created jobs for Germans. Like, I feel like I've given so much to this country, and it's so hard to get basic rights like the right to vote and to be able to have a voice in the country that you're not born into. I know I have personally so many privileges coming from an English-speaking background, being white. They're privileges, and I don't have it as bad as many people do, but I just wanted to bring that up and share my experience this morning because I just want to be able to vote, you know? I just want to be able to not be deported. Yeah. There's my spiel about that. Let's get into Polly Pocket. Like, I was thinking as I was leaving the office, so depressed. I was like, I'm so happy to be able to go into my studio now and be able to make a silly little clay project. So today we're gonna work on this. I think the first thing I need to do is separate it and make it into a jar. So I'm gonna make it into just a straight up jar, and then we're going to work on the hinge structure, which, to be honest, I still don't really have a plan for. I have an idea, but not really a plan. So let's do it. Did I clean up my wheel after throwing yesterday? Of course not. Why would I do that? I'm going to use a very sharp knife. Okay. I also want to take out as much clay as I possibly can so I have as much room as I possibly can for the inside, for all the stuff I want to put in there. This feels really good. I wish you could feel it. It feels good. So I made this edge as thin as like I comfortably feel, and then this is still quite thick, so it doesn't quite fit over the flange yet. So what I need to do is narrow this, bring this part in so that it fits nicely. What I don't want to do is make this too thin, and it's not quite inward enough. It's not quite fitting yet. So I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use some water and try and push it inwards, like throw it inwards. Nice. I made it a little bit on the looser side so that the hinge has a little bit of leeway. I wonder if I should have flipped this over and trimmed the bottom first though. I might have wanted to do that. Don't you guys dare ask why this is not heart-shaped. I considered attempting that, and I just was like, how am I gonna do that? I hope that you forgive me for that. Let's take a little break to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. If you've never heard about Squarespace before, they are an all-in-one platform that artists and entrepreneurs use to stand out online. I've personally been using Squarespace pretty much ever since I started my online business, and I'm still using them for my website today. There's a few things that I love about Squarespace, one of which is their memberships, which I use to host our very own template club, but you can use to create community, host courses, and other premium content. Two, they just launched a really cool AI feature called Design Intelligence that empowers anyone to build a beautiful bespoke website tailored to your unique needs. And three, once you have that online store set up, you now have access to Squarespace Payments, which is super easy to set up and gives your customers more ways to pay with popular payment methods like Klarna, Direct Debit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay. So if you're ready to take selling pottery to the next level, or you're just looking for an online home for your art, I really recommend Squarespace because they make creating a beautiful website super easy. So head to squarespace.com right now for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/potterytothepeople for 10% off your very first website or domain. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, my challenge now is to cut a chunk of this off. And I don't want to cut too much off. Maybe I can use this thing, this little cheese slicer thing. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm not gonna think too much. Looks like I destroyed it, but I hope not. And then I need to keep these sides together while I attach it to a little slab. Okay, do you see what I'm going for? And then once this is a little bit drier, I'm going to trim it to size and then obviously cut it so it does become 2 pieces again. And then we can attach the hinge to this. In the meantime, I've got some dowels, and this is my idea for making the hinge. So I've got a slightly thicker dowel and a slightly thinner dowel. Okay, this one is 8 millimeters and 5 millimeters. So my plan is to use this dowel to make a tube, and then this is going to be the actual pin for the hinge, is the idea, because it needs to be smaller because of shrinkage or whatever. I can of course go to the hardware store, like if this is not the right size, I could get a different thickness. And I'm just gonna make a tube around this, and hopefully it's like even. That's the key, I think. We'll see if I can do that. This is an experiment. This might not work, but if that's the case, then we try something new. What I've done is I've made a newspaper tape contraption around this dowel so I can slide it off. If any of you guys have made tubes before in clay, like precise tubes like this, let me know if you got a better technique, because, you know, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now. This is where we're at. I'm just gonna leave it like this because I wanted to get leather hard before I take it off so that it keeps its shape. But this will dry really quickly because it's so small. I think now I'm going to plan a little bit what's on the inside, and maybe I could start making some pieces. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Do you see? On the bottom, a wheel and like a workbench. Originally thinking a kiln on the bottom, but I think a workbench would be more fun, and then I could put the kiln in the roof. So on the Polly Pocket, they like use this space vertically. So I was thinking of doing 2 like floors basically. So a kiln and then some shelves. And then, since this is my dream studio actually has a sink. And then I was thinking like some glaze buckets, and then filling in all of the gaps around the studio are like pottery, like, you know, half-made stuff, maybe some tools if I can make some teensy tiny tools, or like reference tools, you know, like little splotches that look like tools. And then if I can fit a little stairwell that looks like you can go up into these upper floors, I think that would be really cool too. I think I'm gonna go ahead and let's cut into this slab. I feel like what I ought to do is let this dry out now. What I want to do is keep working on it. I feel like it looks okay. I mean, it's looking a little wonky right now, but once it's got stuff on top of it. Also, you see how it says Polly Pocket here? Should I like write something here? But like what? If I was really going for it, I'd make like a stamp and emboss it in, but I don't actually want this to dry out anymore, but I want it to homogenize. So I'm gonna wrap it in plastic, and by tomorrow, this new clay here is going to be the same dryness as the rest of it. And then this guy will be leather hard, and then we can attach it. And I'm scared to attach it, but it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Good morning. I'm in a much better mood this morning. Thanks for asking. Let's finish this thing today, huh? You might be a little on the dry side. What I want to do first is try and attach this hinge. So I'm thinking I'm gonna divide this into 4 pieces. So 2 get attached to the top, 2 get attached to the bottom, and then they just need to be perfectly aligned. Let's try. So I'm going to attach every other one to the top and bottom. So like this one and this one will get attached to the top, and this one will get attached to the bottom. This is how you make a hinge. And I learned this in university when I was doing metalsmithing. It works really great for metalsmithing because you can buy like prefab tubes that are perfectly round. I've never seen anyone make a clay hinge, or at least not like a pin hinge like this one. So if you know of anyone who does do clay hinges, please write them down below in the comments because I am curious to know of them. I'm gonna give this like 5 minutes to firm up, and then we'll take this guy out and see if we can open the box. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Time to take this out. I'm gonna twist it. I'm worried that I'm gonna like pop one of these off. It works. They're too tight up against each other. I need to put a little gap, I think, in between them. Does this fit? I'm gonna widen these little holes here just because of the way clay moves, and there needs to be a little bit of allowance there. If you want to attempt something like this, definitely make these gaps before you attach them, because this is way harder and I'm having to be really careful. I'm not sure I've ever been as stressed out about making a project as I have been making this hinge. This was like genuinely not fun. This was stressful. Can we move on to the fun part, please? Let's make some stuff. Let's make some stuff. I think I would like to start with a little shelf around the edge. Maybe we'll make them cabinets. Cabinets are easier. Cute. That took like literally hours and I'm not done. So here's the status. This is going to be the sink up here. We've got some buckets, kiln, swatch board. This is going to be stairs. We've got a table, some cabinets, wheel, and stool. I want to let this firm up, homogenize, because I want to come in tomorrow and add some details. So like these are supposed to be cabinets and I want to add like little doors and stuff and just like add some texture overall. But I can't do it today because I've been working with fresh clay. I need it to get leather hard first. But overall, I'm freaking tickled with this project. I think this is getting to be so fun. I'm still really concerned about the hinge. This little piece in particular, it wants to crack. It really, really does. It might easily warp in the kiln. Like I'm probably gonna have to fire these separately, I'm thinking. So the kiln might easily destroy my hinge as well. The tricky part really was getting everything to fit together, like because this flange has to fit inside this ring, which means I had to curve, I'm gonna call them shelves, I guess they're like floors. And then yeah, like the table sticks up just a little bit too far. So like I had to move the kiln to go the other side. Little things. I mean, the main thing is it's just so friggin' tiny and fragile. But so far, I managed to keep it alive. So I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so it's about a week later. I hope it's dried out by now. It's really hard for me to predict that because it's like this closed shape and there's all these like solid things on the inside, but it's also small. So like theoretically, it should be dry. So let's load the kiln. Okay, it's the next day. My kiln is cool enough to open. I pray to God this thing was dry enough before firing because it could just be some rubble. Ooh. We got one piece. Something is loose in here. What is this? Oh, what is this thing? Oh, it's a tap. It's the sink tap. Oh, maybe I can attach it again. Let's see. I am mostly tickled by the fact that my hinge is still in one piece. It's not like perfectly round. These have moved a little bit, but it's fine because I hope with using a smaller pin, there's going to be some wiggle room there. So let's see. In my little mini-me, it's looking just fine. I put little braids on her. I thought that might be cute. It is cute. Before we paint this, I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick sand because I left a few of the scriggly bits here and I can knock some of them off with my finger, but I'm gonna sand them now to make sure they're nice and smooth. And then we're gonna go in with our underglazes. I don't usually do this, but with this piece, I'm going to quickly dunk it in a water bath because there's a lot of sanding that I did and there's just like little bits left. I'm really worried that it's going to cause problems with the glazing. I'm going to color the inside and then glaze it transparent. So I need to have that inside not overly dusty so that the glaze will actually stick. Okay, then luckily the sun is shining in pretty brightly now, so I'm just gonna pop these in front of the sun for a little while I figure out my colors, and then hopefully they'll be dry enough to paint on. Should be fine. Okay, I've sort of changed my mind here a little bit. First of all, I think I have to paint the outside pink because, come on, like this is, I have to. Like this is the closest I can get. It's fine. I think this pink is much prettier than this pink anyway. It has to be pink as like an homage to the original Polly Pocket. And then I was thinking, I have accumulated quite a few paint-on glazes through my partnership with Bots over the years, and pretty much all of these are paint-on glazes here. And then I was thinking, I kind of hate underglazes. So I'm thinking about using paint-on glaze to add the details because that's going to be way more vibrant. It's going to look way more interesting than underglaze. I will have to paint the parts underglaze that I want underglaze because I still want to add at least some of this teddy bear Amico velvet. You know this probably from this mug. Remember when I made the quilt mugs? It's this brown in here because I would like to add some wooden elements to it. Obviously, I think that's important for a pottery studio. And it doesn't make sense to paint the workbench like anything other than wood color. Like what I'm gonna have to do is paint the underglaze, paint the parts that are glazed that I want to glaze, pour transparent glaze on the inside, and then do the outside in this pink. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start adding these colors. I've chosen a color palette that is fairly balanced, I hope. Like I think that these colors look really nice with the pink. I'm just gonna start. I think that's all we can do is just start. These are all my tiniest brushes. I suspect I don't have a small enough brush. I don't think I breathed once during that entire painting process. I definitely don't have small enough brushes. Like, this is my smallest brush. I'm probably gonna be using it for the whole thing. This guy's a little bit pointier, but I might need to slice up my brushes a little bit. I think I wanna paint the floor. Kinda wanna paint it dark, so everything kind of pops against it. But dark is scary, especially against the pink. So hard to make these decisions sometimes. This isn't dark, but I think I'm gonna go for the light blue. And maybe I don't want the bottom to pop. Maybe I want the items to pop, actually. This is Forget Me Not, 9863 by Bots. And yeah, hopefully it's still good. Ooh, this is very thick. Okay, we are at the moment where things could go terribly, terribly wrong. I have no idea how this is gonna go. So basically what I want to do is pour transparent glaze, sloosh it around, pour it out, and then I'm obviously gonna have to clean up some of these bits because I just want it on the inside. The parts that are glazed, the parts that are underglazed, that's where I want transparent, and everything else is gonna be pink. My main fear is that once I pour this on here, all of the glazes are gonna Actually, that's fear number one. Fear number two is that I knock something out while glazing, like with the weight of the glaze. And I also haven't forgotten my little faucet. My plan is to get it all covered in glaze and then just stick it on when the glaze is wet. Maybe it stays, maybe it doesn't. Not the most smooth, but kind of panicked. I don't know if you guys saw my video where I transformed dippable glazes into paint-on glazes, but this is one of them. This is another Bots glaze. Shout out Bots. So because it still has some of that paint-on gluiness, I think I can still paint it on. It might just be a little bit thinner, so I can always do an extra coat. Also, these pieces are getting like quite saturated now, so we'll see if I can manage it. I'm gonna try. This is like the sloppiest glaze job known to humanity. So I wanted to explain how I'm planning on firing these. I'm not firing them together. They would totally glue together. So I just wiped the bottom of this one. That one's really simple. With this top piece, the problem is that the hinges drop below this. So I can't just set it down like this. And also some of the shelving and objects on the inside, they would touch the kiln base also. So I made this little monstrosity. These are just like little kiln stilt thingies. And what I can do is just, I haven't tested this yet, so that works. I left this rim unglazed. There's no way around that. I just have to leave it unglazed. So I'm just gonna transition everything into the kiln now. You guys, look at this pink. This pink is perfect. I love this pink. It's not quite as like baby pink as this is, but like I think this is so much prettier of a pink personally. Also, I wonder how many of you guys noticed this like weeks ago. I misspelled pottery here. I straight up did not notice until I was plucking it out of the kiln. Like, that's so sad. Like, it says potty pocket. This is not what I wanted it to say. I wanted it to say pottery pocket, obviously. Okay, let's talk about this. 99% love. I have a few small issues with it. I think that the glaze application, it could use some improvement. It did peel away a little bit here, like where the glaze was too thick and beat it up. Some of the places I applied the glaze too thickly, so it did cover up some of the details, particularly with the blue, the dark blue glaze. I guess that's just a thicker glaze. Some of the little details I love so much though. So this little sink, perfection. I cannot believe that this tap stayed on. Like, that's crazy. I love my little swatches. Honestly, I love most of it. I think my favorite though is this little table with the little friggin' pots on a wearboard. I think that's so cute, especially next to this pot that's on the wheel. Also, my little mini me turned out pretty good. I do have a weird little splotch on my face here, and I don't know how that happened. Like, I did use some clay with like a little bit of iron in it. So it could be like an iron splotch that just like ended up on my face. But otherwise, it's pretty freaking cute. I wore my braids today. So the moment that we're waiting for is seeing if this hinge works. I already checked. It does fit like this. The only issue is that the circle is not circling completely. It also doesn't completely close anymore. So this is actually my fault. And I just made a really stupid mistake in which I glazed this flange here. When they were, you know, leather hard, they were sitting perfectly. Well, if you add thickness onto that, it's not gonna work anymore. But if I can get it to close like this, I'm happy. I think that's fine. I got my sticks. I got this stick and then I have a slightly like little thinner stick. Let's see. Okay, it fits. This doesn't feel so nice. It doesn't move. I'm gonna try the thinner one. Zoop. Okay, that looks good. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, we're gonna go with the thinner one. But how do I need to put like ends on this. Okay, I have an idea. I've got a drill, I've got a saw, and I've got my pin, and I've got a thicker piece of dowel. By the way, I've done this once before, and one of my most underrated videos that I've ever made, I made a Rube Goldberg machine out of clay one time, probably over a year ago. It's one of my favorite videos of all time. So if you want to see, you know, more mechanical pottery, you can check that one out. Anyway, I'm getting a drill bit that is the same diameter as my pin. And if I had a drill press, I would use that, but I do not. And I'm gonna try and drill as straight as possible into this guy. And we only need to go, I don't know, like a centimeter in, something like that for both sides. And if it doesn't work out, I can always chop it off and start again, but I'm gonna try and make it as straight as possible. Should I get a clamp? I should get a clamp. It's hard to get this centered with so little space. I've just drilled like, I don't know, maybe a centimeter in, and now I'm just going to cut, say, 1/2 centimeter. Woodworkers are yelling at me right now. This is really the worst possible tool to do precise work. Woo. So, as you can see, I basically made like a little wooden bead. So then the idea is that this gets jammed in here and acts like a stopper. Ta-da! See? It's a stopper. So, oh, we have a working hinge, you guys. That is so cool. I mean, it's obviously not perfect, like it doesn't fully close. This feels like such a victory, honestly, like more so than the whole piece. Just getting this hinge to work is so cool. And I also really love like this kind of mixture of materials here with the wood plus ceramic. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This project for me was a combination of quite fun, an interesting challenge, and also incredibly stressful. I really like the idea of making miniatures. That part is really fun. I think they're so cute, they're so fun. I don't know if I'm ever going to attempt to make a miniature so small, like on this scale ever again, because this was quite stressful. But if you're interested in more miniature projects, do let me know down below in the comments. This is actually the second miniature kind of dollhouse type project I've made. I did also make a replica of my childhood home about a year ago. That was a much more reasonable scale, I think. So if you're interested in that, I'm gonna link it on the end screen. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.